My name is George Baker, and I approve this message. I approve all my messages. And I was very flattered when Sherry asked me to come and speak to this August group. I am already by a roundabout way. Many of you may know Jim Stern, Dub Stern from Arkadelphia. In 1958, my family moved from Sweetwater, Alabama to Fargo, Georgia. And I stayed in Alabama. One of my uncles was coaching me, and after about 4 games and we didn't win one, I decided to go to Georgia. And I showed up in Georgia, still on Monday, and on Thursday I started to play offense, defense, return kicks, and punts. That team wasn't any good either. I think we won 1 game that year. But Coach Stern was a Henderson graduate. He was a very enthusiastic guy. I loved him from the moment I met him, and his wife and his family. And I made one little error the first day in his class. I called him Daddy-O. And I learned real quickly that was not going to go with him. He was a very disciplined guy, and went on and became a great coach, and was responsible probably for sending as many people to Henderson as anyone I know. And I spent 31 years on the campus after I left Washita. I played at Washita, and the reason I played there, Coach Stern bought films of me and Troy Dyson, the guy who did become a Reddy and played for the Reddies and went on with a distinguished career. But Coach Wilson was a better judge of talent than Coach Rogers over at Washita, because he looked at films that we don't need him, but we'll take this one. And so Troy went to Henderson, and I went to Washita. But I spent almost every weekend on the Henderson campus. I got to know about as many of the players as I knew on the Washita team. And every time I'd see Coach Wells, he was so nice to me, and I thought he thought I was one of his players. I promise you. You know, he gave me that little short handshake that he gave everybody and tapped me on the back. And I said, he thinks I'm playing for him, you know. But anyway, as luck would have it, I ended up coaching over there and coaching with Coach Carpenter, who I never called him Sporty. I know most everybody did, but I didn't call him Sporty, and he didn't have a nickname for me. Every once in a while, when he felt real mellow, he'd call me Gorgeous. You know, Gorgeous George, the wrestler. But most of the time, he called me George, and you know, I'm writing a book about him, and it's not a book of profit for me. Any profits from this book is going to go to the 40 Carpenter Football Scholarship Fund at Henderson. And it's a labor of love. I'm enjoying it. I'm interviewing people that knew him, friends, relatives, opponents, players. I've done about 70 interviews, and everybody I talk to, they think I'm looking for a funny story. And I'll take funny stories. But what I'm getting is a lot of profound things where he helps people and no one ever knew about it. That was his hobby, getting people jobs and helping people. And lots of people that remember him as a student, boy, he was a rough old boy and everything. Well, let me tell you what my image of him is. We'd go to those national conventions, and he became very well known at those things, and it was very a good thing to do, because he had power in getting All-American status for players. Not only for Henderson players, but if UCA had a good player, he'd go to bat for him too. He put on that blue suit and combed his gray hair back. Very elegant man. Carried himself very well in all circles, you know. You'd have been so proud of him. I mean, he was a wonderful Reddy and a great man. I told someone else, you know, I was pretty rough myself when I came to college. I came to college in 1961. I was one of the most successful college students in America. I came to play football and have fun, and I did. But when the grades came out, the coaches called me in, they said, hey, boy, you know you ain't passed the class. It's going to be a lot harder than I thought it would. I'm going to have to go to class. And so I did. And I just marginally graduated. But when I got married, I got out of the Army, and I came back for my first master's class. My wife said, where's your book? I said, I never bought any books. She said, you're going to buy a book. And I bought a book, and I did much better. I appreciate her for that. I was offensive coordinator. First time I ever called a play was in the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, Germany. And I looked at him, I said, what do you want to run, Coach? He said, you're going to be the offensive coordinator, I'm going to coach the offensive line and be the head coach. And after that, I called every play. Every once in a while, in the middle of a game, he'd say, let's gin, let's gin. He wanted to run the ball. I said, Coach, we just ginned twice. It's 3rd and 20. We threw the ball. But he would never come back to that. And every once in a while in the game, he'd say, George, let's throw one of them long, incomplete passes. I swear. Who can have humor in the middle of it? You know, if you're in a press box, it's war. If you're on the sidelines, it's war. But he had that humor about him, and that made me kind of bond to him, and we became very, very, very close with those people. Coach Wells, a wonderful man, a great man. Coach Berry's the same way. Coach Sawyer was the same way, you know. I told somebody, I used to try to make Coach Sawyer, I can make you mad, you know. I get under your skin in a New York, man, I know how to do it. I could not make Coach Sawyer mad. He was such a tremendous man. I mean, he was a physical specimen. He was a PT boat guy in World War II. I mean, he was a hero, you know. Nothing fazed him. He went to Europe with us. Coach Wells didn't want to go, so he said, Coach Sawyer, you're going to be the AD over. He was so calm. We were trying to beat A&I, and we'd do anything in the world. You know, we was practicing twice a day, and they still beat him. Coach Sawyer was just calm, but I like to be an overachiever. But these guys came in and achieved. Another guy, a little old bitty guy, about that big, named Charlie Boyd. He's a successful lawyer in Little Rock now. People, some of you may know him. But he came in from Lake Village, and you know, he was just like a little bulldog. I mean, he'd get a hold of it and he wouldn't turn you loose. But he finally got to play, and one day we were playing Washita out there, and I looked up, Charlie Boyd's at right cornerback. Score is 7-6. They just scored, and they're going to run that Washita curl route that we never could stop. And Charlie's back there, and he's supposed to cover the flat. But he sees that curl going in there, and the linebacker standing behind the receiver and ain't going to knock it down. And Charlie comes flying in there and knocks that ball down, overcomes his coaching, and won the game. I'll never forget that. Never. The guy, I caught him one time. My folks live in Alabama. We were going through Lake Village. We come back from Christmas. I look up, and there's a guy running on the side of the road in a ready warm-up. And it's Charlie Boyd working out during the Christmas holidays. And I stopped talking to him. I've never seen a guy prouder of the coach catching him working out. And Charlie was that day.